Well, it is budget day here in Ontario, and a pandemic-related budget, really. And joining me now live is Finance Minister Rod Phillips. Minister, thank you very much for joining us here on City News this evening.
Cynthia, it's my pleasure to be with you.
Now, I'm going to get straight to it. This is getting mixed criticism. You're facing the biggest record deficit, the biggest debt in history of this province. How are we going to dig ourselves out of the hole? Like many teachers' unions are saying you're not spending enough. The Mental Health Association says you're not spending enough, yet the Canadian Taxpayers Association says you're spending too much.
Well, Cynthia, probably if we have that kind of balance, then we might have just got it right. We really are spending more than any other government has in the history of the province. That's not a surprise. Governments around the world are doing that. Now's a time where we need to make sure we have the resources, we have the dollars to protect Ontarians, whether that's the money we're investing in healthcare or education, or the support that we're providing for businesses. So, it's important that we do this now. Over the long term, we know governments can't sustain, nor should they sustain this kind of spending, but it's necessary now. We're in the second wave of a global pandemic. Ontario is doing well, but we need to keep our vigilance up. We need to keep making sure that we have the resources to protect people.
But Minister, for example, with education, you really aren't spending that much more. I mean, it's what, $80 million this coming year, and unions are saying that's not nearly enough.
Well, of course, this year's education budget absorbs the wage increases that those unions negotiated last year for multiple years going forward, and that's one of the reasons that it has gone up, and that's fine. We really do respect and support the work that our teachers and the other staff are doing, but all of that is now built into the budget, and that's very important. And remember, we're spending $13 billion, $1.5 billion this year, $1.9 billion last year, on very important capital improvements, new schools, as well as renovating the schools we have. We spent $1.3 billion to support, really the most robust reopening plan in the country. So the money's going to be there to make sure we support our students. We're also having a little money put aside for parents, as you know, $200 for people with children under the age of 12 to support their extra costs.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about cannabis sales. This one at the back of the budget really caught my eye. You're anticipating that in-store cannabis sales will double in a year and triple in 2 years. What, are we smoking that much more, or where are you getting these numbers from?
Well, it's these are the numbers that have come from the sales and the expansion of the retail footprint for cannabis across the province. When the federal government decided to legalize cannabis, we took that on very seriously. Our priority was make sure it was done safely, and yes, people are now using cannabis and doing that in a safe way through the retail network, through the Ontario Cannabis Store. So we will expect to see revenues improve from that. Those revenues, of course, can go into helping to pay for the vital services that we all require.
Okay, Minister, our time is up. I'm going to wrap it here, but I'll just ask you if you could just answer this really quickly. When do you expect to tackle this massive debt and deficit? When do you think that Ontario will be able to think beyond pandemic and actually tackle this?
Well, Cynthia, this budget was important. We're the first of the major jurisdictions to have a multi-year budget. We'll have another one in March where we'll look to the fiscal sustainability of the province. That's something that has to be on all of our agendas, but right now it's about making sure we have the dollars to support people, and that's what this budget does.
Minister, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.